In the tail end of the 90s, graphics and gameplay of racing games really came into their own. But with limitations of hardware and game engines at the time, true simulators were very few and far between. As such, most racing games tended to be of the arcade variety, think Need for Speed and Mario Kart. It wasn't until Gran Turismo came along that people realised a realistic driving game could be fun for the mainstream too. However, some game studios were set on delivering a hardcore, unforgiving driving simulator designed to accurately recreate the driving experience as much as they could. Well, given the time. Released in 1998 by Sierra and developed by Monster Games, more on them later, Viper Racing was one of those games. So, let's take a look at one of my all-time childhood favourites. The premise of Viper Racing is simple. Well, racing the Dodge Viper. No, seriously, it's the only car in the game, not including mods, of which there were many. There were a couple of generic other cars and even a plane for some reason, but for the most part, the Viper was your lot. Not even an RT10 is an option either, just the GTS. And no matter what car you picked, you were always against a field of Vipers. But, unlike any other game featuring the Viper at the time, this was to be a full-blown recreation. Every minute detail captured, and every characteristic of the car simulated, which, for a car with no driving assists and barely any safety features, meant one thing. This game is unforgiving. What you do need to get out of your head when it comes to this game is that it's going to play like your average game of the time. This is to be treated the same as you would any modern simulator, or GT Legends or something like that. Game modes are fairly simple. Arcade mode is as implies, simple, quick races against AI opponents. Tracks are fairly limited, as are the cars, but it's going to prove vital to getting to grips with the physics engine, because if you're going to be playing with a keyboard like I did as a kid, it's gonna take some adjusting. Thankfully though, almost all features are available in arcade mode, such as the extensive tuning menu, offering what you'd see as staples today, but were seldom seen at the time. Camber, tow, caster, all the rest. However, career mode is really the bread and butter of the game, and all of these tuning setups you've been tinkering with aren't available right away. Starting at the bottom, you lock upgrades for the Viper and more tuning settings, and before you know it, you're basically driving a fully blown Viper GTSR, GT1. Amazingly as well, Viper Racing even had online play when that really would have been in its infancy, though by the time I came along, I never got to try it. While the game may not have sold massively well, it found itself a big community, even to this day, who've kept it alive with various mods. And another thing we should probably talk about is the fantastic big box. PC games used to come in these things. The older of us will remember these, but I used to adore them. They were a nightmare to store, but I mean, you got to see the artwork in full. They usually folded out like this one. And this one that I got on eBay a while ago is actually in incredible condition. My girlfriend got me it as a present for my birthday, and it's always been pride of joy on the shelf. And I don't think this thing was ever opened, to be honest, because it still has this like reward scheme thing. I have no idea. The website's long dead now. And it also came with the booklet, which compared to modern games is the most in-depth booklet I've ever seen. Now, it kind of reminds me of how Gran Turismo 2 had the like driving tips book that came with it, except this gives you full breakdowns of each track and the best lines to take through the track and hints into it. It's actually absolutely staggering. Monster Games, or MGI as they're abbreviated to, made Viper Racing as their first title, but they would go on to make a slew of NASCAR games, alongside a strange affair with Nintendo with some games you'd expect like Excite Truck, and some you wouldn't, like Xenoblade Chronicles. Eventually, they would go on to be acquired by the team that made iRacing, which kinda makes sense given their foundations in early sim racing. At the time they made Viper Racing though, they were a team of just 6 people. And to make such an in-depth, realistic recreation of a Dodge Viper and a simulator game like this with just 6 people in 2 years, that's staggering. Viper Racing was an absolute gem of its time, and the chances of us seeing another vehicle-specific racing game that isn't some crappy mobile tie-in title is incredibly slim. With things like hornballs, and I didn't think that's a sentence I would ever use, suspension views for cameras that have stuck in my head ever since, and even a primitive livery editor. Viper Racing is full of charm and really deserves to be remembered. It's now abandonware, so if you want, you can give it a try for free. You've got literally nothing to lose. My name's Tomo. This has been a quick little 427 gaming look at a favourite of the past. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're into real cars, check out our other channel, 427 Motorsports. Thank you and good luck.